Narcissistic grandma wrecked my baby shower. I'm Amy, 28 years old, and I recently had the most infuriating experience with my husband's mother, who I'll call Jennifer. A few months ago, she insisted on hosting a baby shower for me, even though my own mother had already planned one. At first, I agreed, thinking it would be nice to have separate celebrations for our families, since we come from such large ones. Big mistake. Jennifer and her husband had just bought this rundown house that looked like it was stuck in the 70s, shag carpets, outdated fixtures, the whole 9 yards. They kept asking my husband, let's call him Tom, to help with renovations, despite us repeatedly telling them we were too busy preparing for the baby's arrival. Tom is an amazing woodworker and was building the crib and changing table himself. As the shower date approached, their house was nowhere near ready. We asked Jennifer multiple times if we should change the location or date, but she assured us it would be done in time. Then, 1 week before, she dropped the bombshell she couldn't host it at her place and asked if we could have it at our tiny 1,100 square foot condo instead, with around 30 guests. I was in disbelief when Jennifer suggested hosting at our place. Our condo was already bursting at the seams with all the baby preparations. Tom nearly choked on his food when she asked. Jennifer then had the audacity to blame us for not helping enough with her house renovations, despite us repeatedly telling her we couldn't do to getting ready for the baby. Tensions rose as she accused me of being ungrateful and not appreciating her efforts to host a shower for me. The irony: she was the one who had insisted on doing this, even after my mom already made plans. I reminded her that Tom had been busy building nursery furniture with his limited free time. Jennifer stormed out in a huff, and later that night, she texted Tom saying she was too burnt out to host the shower at all and would be canceling it entirely. She even claimed I wasn't grateful enough and that she felt used. Used? For what? Offering to throw an unnecessary second shower that she couldn't follow through on. I was furious, but even more heartbroken for Tom's aunts and sisters, who had been looking forward to the celebration. After discussing with Tom and my mom, we decided to extend invitations to his relatives for my mom's shower, excluding Jennifer. It pained me to have to do this, but her toxic behavior was the last thing I needed in this joyful time. Over the next few days, Tom's aunts and sisters graciously accepted our invites, understanding the situation with Jennifer all too well. They didn't want to miss out on celebrating this moment with us because of her antics. With that settled, I focused on enjoying the final preparations with Tom and letting the shower drama go. Little did I know, the worst was yet to come. The day of my mom's baby shower arrived, and it was sheer bliss, friends and family together, playing games, opening gifts, and showering us with love and well wishes for our upcoming arrival. My mom had truly outdone herself. Then, halfway through, there was a knock at the door. Lo and behold, Jennifer barged in carrying gifts, sporting an exaggerated smile as if she was the guest of honor. "I couldn't let you have all the fun without me, could I?" she quipped smugly. I felt my face flush with anger and embarrassment. She was wearing a white dress, just like me. The audacity. Tom's aunts and sisters looked on in shock, rendered silent by Jennifer's appalling behavior. With a fake, sickly sweet tone, my mom greeted her, saying, "By all means, Jennifer, make yourself at home." The sarcasm was biting. Jennifer didn't seem to catch it, helping herself to a mimosa before plopping down right next to me, insisting I open her gifts next. I wanted to cry, to scream, to make a scene and have her removed. But I couldn't bring myself to ruin the day my mom had so lovingly planned. So I grit my teeth, forced a smile, and played along, my heart pounding with humiliation and rage. Throughout the rest of the shower, Jennifer played the doting mother-in-law-to-be, engaging with everyone as if she hadn't just crashed the party. At one point, she even told my cousin that I hadn't wanted her there, trying to paint me as the bad guy. Afterwards, my friends asked why she came so late, and I had to admit I hadn't invited the woman who was supposed to be my child's grandmother. They understood after witnessing her dramatics firsthand. The next morning, the phone rang. It was Jennifer, ready to berate us for disrespecting her. Tom finally unleashed years of resentment, yelling about how she always made everything about herself, neglected my needs as the mom-to-be, and ruined what was supposed to be a joyous celebration. For once, Jennifer was speechless as Tom stood his ground. He said we needed a break from her toxic behavior. I could hear her sputtering crocodile tears, grasping for any leverage. When that didn't work, her husband got on and started berating Tom for making his mother cry. Just when I thought it couldn't get worse, Jennifer took to social media to blast me for being an ungrateful, spoiled brat who didn't want her at her shower. Comments piled on calling me horrible names. She even claimed I was going to keep her grandchild from her, completely twisting the facts. Her dad was fully on her side, saying if I felt that way about Jennifer, I wasn't welcome in their lives anymore. It was utter insanity, her desperate ploys for attention successfully convincing people I was the villain. I didn't know whether to scream or just laugh at the absurdity of it all. As if this wasn't supposed to be one of the happiest times of our lives, in the days that followed, Jennifer's social media tantrum only escalated. She kept posting old pictures of Tom as a baby, replying to every comment with dramatic flair about how excited she had been for her grandbaby, and how this was going to give her a heart attack. At one point, she even claimed to be having heart palpitations and didn't know if she'd make it through the night. The outrageous attention-seeking made me question if I was living in some twisted alternate reality. Through it all, Tom and I tried our best to rise above the toxicity and focus on the final preparations for our daughter's arrival. We had our hospital bags packed, her nursery was ready, and our parents, except Jennifer, were on standby to meet their first grandchild. When the big day finally came, it was euphoria. Holding our perfect little girl in my arms for the first time, all the stress and drama with Jennifer melted away. This was the moment I had been waiting for, and it was more beautiful than I ever could have imagined. Unfortunately, the peace was short-lived. A few days after we brought our daughter home, Jennifer showed up unannounced on our doorstep, holding foil containers that were supposedly pre-made meals. Yeah, right, with her increasingly erratic behavior, I wouldn't put it past her to have tampered with the food. Thanks to our video doorbell, we could see and hear her before opening up. Tom firmly told her through the speaker that she was not welcome, and to leave immediately before we called the police. Her fake smile dropped as the realization hit. You can't keep her away from her grandmother. She needs me in her life, Jennifer shouted, her voice dripping with venom. When Tom refused to back down and threatened to call the cops again, she lost it, hurling the food containers at our door and ripping the doorbell camera right off in her rage. We immediately went full no contact after that, not even telling Jennifer's husband to avoid enabling her unstable behavior further. As much as I wished we could have had a normal, loving grandmother for our daughter, we knew Jennifer was too unstable. Her toxic tantrum was the last stake in the coffin of our relationship. It took months for the social media hate and harassment from Jennifer's followers to die down. But through it all, Tom and I tried to stay positive and soak up every moment with our incredible little girl. Her bright smile and joyful coos were the reminders I needed that we had made the right choice. Was it an ideal situation? No. But I knew one day, when she was older, I could explain to my daughter why her grandmother wasn't in her life, and that putting her needs first was the strongest act of love. Separating her from that toxicity was what any good parent would do to protect their child. At the end of the day, giving my daughter the peaceful, loving environment she deserved was the top priority. If cutting out Jennifer was what it took to achieve that, so be it. I just hoped one day she would open her eyes, get help, and we could try to rebuild bridges when my daughter was old enough to understand. But for now, I was simply basking in the glow of new motherhood, surrounded by a supportive family, and no way was I going to let Jennifer's narcissistic delusions put a dark cloud over our rainbow baby. This was our time to shut out the negativity and soak up every cuddle, every smile, every first. Our daughter deserved to feel nothing but loved, protected, and celebrated. Just when I thought we were finally free of Jennifer's toxic grasp, she managed to resurface in the most unhinged way yet. It was a seemingly normal day, about 6 months after our daughter's birth. Tom was at work, and I was home with the baby. There was a knock at the door, which I ignored, assuming it was just a solicitor. But then I heard a harsh banging and scratching, like someone frantically trying to break in. My heart dropped into my stomach as I clutched my daughter close and dialed 911 with my trembling hands. Peering through the curtains, I gasped it was Jennifer, disheveled and wide-eyed, clawing at the front door while wailing unintelligibly. "She's my granddaughter. You can't keep her from me," she screamed between sobs, her voice so visceral it made my blood run cold. I tried to remain calm as the dispatcher attempted to make sense of the horrific sounds in the background. Within minutes, I could hear sirens approaching, but Jennifer showed no signs of leaving. If anything, she seemed to be working herself into a more frenzied state. Just as the police cruisers pulled up, Jennifer produced a large rock from her purse and started bashing it against the front windows. Shards of glass rained down as I pulled my daughter's blanket over her, shielding her from the madness. 2 officers rushed Jennifer, wrestling her to the ground as she thrashed about like a caged animal. Even with her hands cuffed, she kept screeching about her rights as a grandmother at the top of her lungs. It was one of the most unnerving, primal displays of unraveled sanity I had ever witnessed. As they hauled Jennifer into the back seat of the squad car, one of the officers turned to me with a stunned look. "Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to explain what the hell that was about." I couldn't even find the words. After the hell Jennifer had already put us through, I thought we had established firm boundaries. But this psychotic episode exhibited a total detachment from reality. The officer's next words chilled me to my core. "Listen, we've dealt with this woman before on similar calls. Based on her behavior, I really think you should consider relocating. For your family's safety. People with this level of unresolved mental illness can be extremely unpredictable and dangerous when it comes to their fixations." My mind was racing. Where would we go? Could we ever feel safe again, knowing Jennifer was still out there? I finally understood the cold truth. She was unstable beyond reason, beyond reaching. Cutting her out of our lives wasn't enough. She had become a legitimate threat. Tom was equally shaken when I told him what happened, saying through panicked breaths, "That's it, we're getting out of here, changing our numbers, everything. I don't give a damn if we have to move across the country to get away from her." So that's what we did. Using every resource we had, we uprooted our lives and fled halfway across the country, trying to put as much distance between us and Jennifer as possible. We changed our numbers. Tom got an unlisted job, and we settled into a new home, new city, new life, all to escape her unrelenting mania. For a few months, there was a fragile sense of peace, like we could finally start to heal and move forward as a family. Our daughter was blissfully unaware, simply overjoyed by all the new sights and experiences in our fresh environment. But Jennifer always seemed to find her way back into our lives, like a remorseless specter, her menacing presence inescapable no matter how far we ran. Just when I thought we were finally in the clear, Jennifer resurfaced like the relentless parasite she was. It started with an ambiguous Christmas card showing up at our new address, no return sender, just a generic "Season's greetings" printed on the front. Inside, however, was a handwritten note that made my heart stop. "You can run, but you can't hide. No matter where you go, she's still my grandchild. Don't get too comfortable." The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. How did she find us? We had been so careful, followed every protocol to maintain anonymity in our new town. Yet those 9 chilling words confirmed Jennifer was still hunting us, her obsession with our daughter intact. From that point on, I was constantly on edge, nauseated by paranoia during every outing or errand. I kept our daughter strapped to me constantly, jumping at every loud noise or unfamiliar face in public, terrified Jennifer or one of her flying monkeys might try to snatch her. Tom attempted to keep calm, but he was just as rattled, asking neighbors if they'd seen any strange vehicles or unfamiliar faces lurking around. We avoided taking our daughter anywhere besides doctor's appointments, instead having groceries and supplies delivered. Our self-imposed isolation and hypervigilance soon devolved into insomnia, constantly flinching at every creak and shadow in the darkness. We knew Jennifer had money, resources, and what seemed to be a deranged singularity of focus on wedging herself into our daughter's life by any means necessary. Then one warm spring evening, the doorbell rang, shattering the tense silence. We didn't dare answer, but peered out cautiously from the side window. To our horror, it was Jennifer, holding a ridiculously oversized gift-wrap box, a fluorescent red bow adorning the top. "It's just a harmless gift for my granddaughter," she hollered through the door. "Don't be rude. You can't deprive her of her grandma's love." We watched in sheer disbelief as she sat the box down with a sickly sweet smile, giving a deranged little wave towards the windows before skipping back towards her car. Disturbingly chipper, calling the police was pointless, since she hadn't technically done anything illegal yet. We were trapped in our own home by fear of this unhinged woman doggedly tormenting us. With trembling hands, Tom carefully carried the box inside, keeping it at arm's length. My mind raced. What if it was booby-trapped? Laced with poison? Filled with animal carcasses as some sort of warped message? Mustering all my courage, I slowly untied the ribbon, sacrificing one end to tear through the garish wrapping paper. What I saw next will be seared into my brain forever. It was an ornate wooden rocking horse, skillfully handcrafted and stained into a rich cherry finish with a large carved placard that read, "To my dearest granddaughter," in looping cursive calligraphy. My blood ran cold. This was no ordinary deranged fan gift. This was something that had required considerable time, effort, and skill to create. A perverse, painstaking labor of love, if you could even call it that. No sane person would invest this much meticulous work into a gift for a child they were supposed to have no contact with, particularly after being threatened with police action. This was no mere obsession, it was total psychosis. Behind that rocking horse's cheery facade, I could viscerally feel Jennifer's instability, her mental collapse rendering her a clear and present danger to our family. Nothing was off the table for this woman. In that moment, I knew we would never truly be safe. No matter how far away we ran or how many precautions we took, this deranged phantom would haunt us to the ends of the earth if she had to. I looked over at Tom, his face drained of all color, and saw the same sickening realization in his eyes. We were running out of options to escape his mother. After that haunting gift from Jennifer, it was clear there would be no running, no hiding place far enough to escape her obsessive clutches. We were merely delaying the inevitable. She would never stop until she wormed her way into our daughter's life. Consequences and restraining orders be damned. In the dead of night, Tom and I had hushed, desperate conversations about our dwindling options. Going into witness protection seemed extreme, but how else could we truly sever Jennifer's ability to hunt us down? She had money, intelligence, and what seemed to be an inexhaustible drive fueled by her crumbling grip on reality. "We have to get off the grid completely," Tom finally stated, his voice trembling but resolved. "Change our names, identities, abandon all digital footprints. It's our only shot at giving our daughter a normal life away from that woman's toxic obsession." My heart shattered at the thought of taking such an extreme, life-altering measure. But after Jennifer's increasingly deranged actions, could we afford not to? One misstep, and she may try to take our daughter from us by any means necessary. We scraped together what remaining funds we had and made underground arrangements to disappear without a trace. It felt like something out of a spy movie. New birth certificates, passports, social security cards with completely new identities. Even our appearance had to be altered, Tom shearing off his trademark locks and me going fully blonde for my natural brunette. The night before we fled, I sat up cradling our peaceful daughter, stoically choking back tears. How could I possibly explain this unfathomable situation to her once she was old enough? That her own grandmother was so warped, so poisonously attached, that we had to abandon our entire lives to safeguard her from that malice? I thought about the warm, nurturing grandmother role models I had growing up, providing us stability, affection, and making endless happy memories. Jennifer had utterly smashed that ideal into a million shards with her mental unraveling. What a sick, cruel cosmic joke. With heavy-hearted resignation, I whispered to my daughter, "One day, you'll understand why we had to take these measures, my love. Why we had to renounce everything to keep you from that very person who is supposed to embrace you unconditionally. I'm so sorry this is the legacy we inherited." In the dead of night, we slipped away like ghosts, leaving everything and everyone behind: our home, jobs, entire existence up in smoke. We moved clear across the continent to a sleepy rural town, living off the grid, knowing Jennifer's resources were useless without a trail to track. Though it was immensely painful, we successfully started anew, free from Jennifer's maniacal presence for the first time in years. Our daughter had a completely fresh start, blessedly shielded from the trauma that instigated her grand rebirth. To this day, we've never revealed our new identities or location to anyone from our previous lives, trusting no one. Jennifer is still out there, probably endeavoring with her bottomless wiles and resources to locate her granddaughter and infiltrate our existence once again. While part of me is hopeful she'll one day be institutionalized or meet a grim demise, I know the sad reality the very notion of us is too profoundly embedded into her delusional psyche. We'll be spending the rest of our lives in this isolating cocoon, because dismantling that fixation is utterly impossible. She'll never let go, never abandon her feverish obsession with our daughter until her very last breath. So we persevere, savoring each new memory with our little girl, building a life intentionally detached from any lingering toxicity of our past existence. Though there were often moments I couldn't help but mourn for the warm, doting grandmother my child would never know, I took solace in shielding her from the monstrously warped version she narrowly escaped.